Let's dive into the tape though here.
Okay.
And kind of jump into some of what we're talking about in terms of these actions, right? So this first clip here is going to be, as you can see, Austin Reeves. This is, why did I grab this as the first clip? This is not exactly
the
what
switch on the handoff here.
Oh yeah, because this is JaMychal Green setting the screen, not Draymond Green. Okay, so this is at the 10:45 mark of the first quarter, and Austin Reeves is guarding Stephen Curry. Jared Vanderbilt is in the corner guarding Draymond Green. Anthony Davis is guarding JaMychal Green, who is currently setting a screen for Stephen Curry. Here, what you're going to see is throughout the game on Stephen Curry, and this starts from the beginning of the game, the Lakers wanted to stop Stephen Curry from getting walk-in pull-up threes if Anthony Davis was involved in the primary action. Anthony Davis is playing high in essentially like a flatter coverage. It's not a hedge necessarily. It's not a drop either. They're playing flatter at the level of the screen and basically saying, Steph, you're going to have to shoot over the top of Anthony Davis if you want to get into pull-ups. Okay. So here, Anthony Davis is the man here guarding this screen. He's at the level. They're going to come across and Steph is going to throw the ball to Draymond Green, and then it's just going to be a little pitch back dribble handoff. And because Jared Vanderbilt is guarding Draymond Green, they just switch this. This is an easy switch, easy communication. Jared Vanderbilt stays in front, blows up what would have been, if they were in more of a drop coverage setting or more of a help defense setting, probably an easy lane to the basket there. But because they're switching, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Steph resets, throws the ball out to Draymond Green, who throws the ball back out to Steph. Offensive set just kind of blows up at the end of the day, right? I believe that this is the same thing again here. Here we go. Draymond out to Steph. And again,
there he is.
The big thing to note here is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is waiting in help because he's not involved in the primary action here. This is something that happened throughout the course of this game. This clip is almost a perfect encapsulation of everything. I remember why I grabbed it now. This is basically a perfect encapsulation of everything that the Lakers and the Warriors were all about in this game when the Warriors had the ball. They switched this action with Draymond Green, Jared Vanderbilt onto Steph, reverse out, reverse back. Again, we're going to see here the primary action. Anthony Davis dropping back at the basket. JaMychal Green not really spacing to the corner yet. He's sitting in the dunker spot. And because he's sitting in the dunker spot, this is just an easy rotation for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis at the basket, able to switch the Draymond Green, Stephen Curry pick and roll with Anthony Davis being able to stay at the basket. This was what they wanted throughout the course of this game. This was the primary way that the Lakers adjusted to what the Warriors were doing. Okay. Next possession, 10:25 mark of the first quarter now. This is Andrew Wiggins bringing the ball up the court. Again, we see like kind of an early off-ball screen action between Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, and they just switch it from the jump, right? And here, Steph has Jared Vanderbilt on him. And what you'll notice here is, like, again, Anthony Davis is just sitting in the paint. Like, does not care that JaMychal Green is in the corner, wide open, one pass away. This is going to be a thing that they do throughout this game. They were good. If JaMychal Green is going to beat you, they're going to take that at the end of the day. So here, Draymond tries to even get like a little seal on Anthony Davis before he can get out there. But like Anthony gets out there, but they're just like not even all that worried. Anthony Davis closes it out with a rebound. Here we go again. This one you're going to see here is JaMychal Green coming up to set the screen. As you'll see throughout the course of this game, Stephen Curry, they played higher. They played flatter in ball screen coverages. Steph goes around. He drills it because Steph is going to do that from time to time. But they're playing higher. They're playing flatter. They're going to force him to shoot over the top of Anthony Davis. That is the goal here. Next possession. 6:17 mark of the first quarter. This is going to be JaMychal Green again, coming up, setting a screen. Anthony Davis just completely commits to Stephen Curry here. They're going to be more than happy to let JaMychal Green shoot these wide open threes, and they're going to live with that. If JaMychal Green beats them, JaMychal Green beats them. Fully commits here. Plays high, fully commits, contains. Okay, go ahead, JaMychal. If you make it, you make it. Next possession down the court here. This is going to be Jordan Poole. And I think that this is at the 4-minute mark of the first quarter. What I think is interesting is the different ways they played different ball handlers early versus later in the game. Here we go again. This is Jordan Poole bringing the ball up the court. He's going to throw the ball to Kevon Looney. Look at how deep Anthony Davis is. Does not care. If you remember in the Kings series, a lot of the time the Kings were willing to bring out Domantas Sabonis very high up onto Kevon Looney, and it opened the door for all sorts of back cuts, right? So here you're looking at like an exchange between Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson that can get a little bit confusing sometimes with some of these little rub actions, right? And because Anthony Davis is there, the Jordan Poole option is completely off the table, right? Like there's no way he's going to be able to back cut and get open in terms of timing. Even if he beats Lonnie Walker, there's no way. This is a beautiful top block here from Dennis Schroeder coming through the action. Does a great job making it so that there is no angle to get Klay Thompson the ball. They bring Jordan Poole up off the action again, this time with Looney. Again, Anthony Davis. This is a deep drop from Anthony Davis when Looney is setting screens and when it's not Stephen Curry who is taking the ball here. Lonnie just fights around, doesn't really care. And this possession just blows up entirely, right? Ends up in a Dante DiVincenzo turnover. This is an awesome 17, 18, 19 second possession defensively from the Los Angeles Lakers. They stay tight. D'Angelo Russell is the one who's going to get credit for the steal, but it was all across the board, right? Perfect rotationally, perfect schematically, great strategy on the possession. I think that was terrific. And yet, in these last 3 minutes, look, the Warriors were up 30-23 at the end of the first quarter. They did a really good job in these last 3 minutes, and it was in part, I think, because of the strategy that they employed on non-Stephen Curry shooters, right? So here, you're going to see the goal with Kevon Looney screens and non-Steph ball handlers early was to play drop. And because of that, Klay Thompson walks into a wide open pull-up three, right? Probably not the most ideal strategy. And how we know this was the strategy is because I think you're going to see it again on literally the next possession. Here we go again. We're going to get a Kevon Looney early screen action here for Klay Thompson. And that's a screen again from Kevon Looney. Again, Anthony Davis in drop. He's just walking into this pull up with a wide open shooting lane, right? That's 24 points now. That's 6 points in a minute there for the Golden State Warriors. And this is where the fun starts now, because the Warriors have taken JaMychal Green off the court and they're rolling. And this is, in my opinion, with what the adjustment for the Warriors should be moving forward. One of Moses Moody, Dante DiVincenzo, or Jordan Poole should be on the court instead of JaMychal Green. I mentioned this is the next kind of proper adjustment after the Lakers adjusted back after game 2. What you're going to see here is because Anthony Davis is guarding Draymond Green here, because the Warriors have gone small, where you have LeBron on Moses Moody, you have D'Angelo Russell on Andrew Wiggins, and you have Lonnie Walker, I believe that is, on Klay Thompson. Anthony Davis is now forced to be the primary man in the screen action. And as we saw last game, look, he does a pretty good job like getting a foot in there to kind of kick that ball. But this is where the Warriors are going to have success. Steph and Dre ball screens where they can hit that little quick pocket pass on the slip action, where they can let Draymond Green diagnose the play, where they can let Stephen Curry diagnose the play. Here, Steph just does a phenomenal job beating Austin Reeves here. Forces the heavy closeout from Reeves. Wide open three from Steph there. That gets it to 37-29. Next possession down at the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. This is where we're, again, going to see just another Stephen Curry, Draymond Green ball screen. You get the nail help there from D'Angelo Russell to an easy kick out on the same side there. This is why it's often very difficult to nail help or like help deep down and dig down there off of shooters. This is just a kick out to Moses Moody, open three. This is where the lead got to, and then the Warriors went on a 13-0 run, right? But this is the adjustment for the Warriors. They got to play smaller, I think. You got to go smaller. This is where you can schematically beat their defense. Anthony Davis commits there. You have the low man kind of committing into the paint. Wiggins open for three. You have D'Angelo Russell committing to help Draymond Green there a little bit too deep. I'm not totally sure why he did that when Anthony Davis had proper guarding position in drop here or in like the flatter coverage here. Moses Moody wide open three. This is as deep as the lead got. I think that is a really good adjustment in terms of lineup for the Golden State Warriors. Now, as we're going to see here, we're in the middle of this run now for the Warriors. Or for the Lakers. I'm sorry. The Lakers, I think, went on a 13-0 run to get it up to 42-40 here. And what we're going to see, they decide not to involve Draymond in the ball screen action, which is a bit strange. And they have him go and set a screen on Walker as they look like Dre's going to come up and set a screen. But this is a counter, essentially, that they're running. Look at how high Anthony Davis is now after the first quarter on Klay Thompson coming off of those screen actions. Much higher, ready to be in a proper guarding position for a great three-point shooter, making it much more difficult. Here we go. We got to get back. I hit the wrong button, guys. Sorry about that again. This is going to be the Moody shot again, and we're back.
Yep.
So here, Draymond Green acts like he's going to set the screen, shoots down. There we go. Steal from Anthony Davis. Really sharp, really high level from Anthony Davis there. Just ready to be in that lane, in the short roll area. Not a great pass from Klay, but nonetheless, really smart. Again, we're like kind of at the end of this big Lakers run here, 44-42 now Lakers after it was just 40-29 Warriors. Here we go. Looney setting the screen action. Anthony Davis at the three-point line, ready to be there for a Stephen Curry pull-up three. He recovers back after he realizes that LeBron is there and help, after he realizes that Dennis Schroeder is there on his hip. And again, just clogging up everything. This is Anthony Davis being at his best, right? At the 3-minute mark here of the second quarter. He is playing terrific defense at the level to start this possession, making it so that Steph can't pull up there. He's right in perfect guarding position, takes two slides with him, allows his defender to recover on the ball, then gets back to Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney gets crowded, turns the ball over. Anthony Davis is just a stud. That's what it comes down to. Defensively, this was a beautiful, terrific performance from Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and look, I think anytime the Warriors play Looney and Green or Green and Green with JaMychal out there as well, like this is what we're going to see for the rest of the series, that the Lakers can conceptually get to this. The Warriors don't run anything too complex or complicated. Like maybe they get into some double drag stuff or some multiple screener actions that make it harder to decipher who switches and who drops. That hasn't always been Steve Kerr's MO. He wants to avoid sending multiple bodies towards Steph Curry because then it's easier to trap. So like you can look down the road and see different types of adjustments that may or may not come from this. But whenever the Warriors have those two bigger lineups out there and Draymond at the 4, this to me is how the rest of the series is going to go.
Well, and here, what you're going to see as well, for instance, let's go back to this play here when it's 37-29, 8-minute mark of the second quarter. The other big thing worth noting here is no Jared Vanderbilt. I think that the way that the Lakers could have adjusted here, if they had Jared Vanderbilt on the court, was you just have Anthony Davis guard Moses Moody, right? And you make Moses Moody beat you from 3. I'm willing to do that. Like, I think Moses can really shoot, but I'd probably make him make the shots first if I was the Los Angeles Lakers, right? So what you could have done is AD on Moody. You could have then D'Angelo Russell on Clay, LeBron on Wiggins, and then you can again just switch this action with Vanderbilt on Dre, Reeves on Steph, and then you have Anthony Davis kind of prowling and ready to go in the paint. But that's a more intriguing, difficult choice as a defensive team, right? Because Moody can really shoot, whereas JaMychal Green, I think, can be a little bit hit or miss or as a shooter in general. You're probably a little bit more comfortable with JaMychal Green shooting than Moses Moody, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But this is no Jared Vanderbilt on the court during that little run there, and I think that is that is an interesting factor worth considering, given the way that the Warriors got loose there for that run. So here we're going to go Steph and Curry. They're going to set like almost a double drag, but not really. The goal there is kind of to even get like LeBron switched on to Steph. It looks like they get the switch. And here, again, off ball action for Klay Thompson. Look at Anthony Davis, just right in his grill, not letting him get any space whatsoever. Jared Vanderbilt out onto Klay now. They kind of recover after that beautiful, that was almost a hedge, to be honest, from Anthony Davis. That was the closest thing they ran to a hedge that I saw this game, was kind of Klay coming off of those actions. And here they get the recovery from Jared Vanderbilt, push off from Klay, foul. I don't know, maybe a little bit of a flop, but you know, Jared got away with it. That's what matters.
Yeah.
So off ball action on the weak side here to start, 9:20 mark of the third quarter. Why did I pull this? This is your classic split action for the Warriors. And I think that this is actually another potential adjustment for the Warriors. This is why I pulled this. They're down 15 here. The Lakers are rolling. They've completely shut off the tap for the Warriors offense. I think that they've scored something like, I think it's like 19 points in 15 minutes or so. So here they get into their classic split action. You're going to see Steph set the screen for JaMychal Green to come down onto the block. You're going to see here the way that the split action works a lot of the time is that they will have Steph then come off of this screen here from Klay and catch on the wing and get an open shot. Instead, they use Steph as kind of a dummy action there and have Klay come down and set a screen for Dre. Dre loops around and sets like another pseudo screen for Klay there. Klay comes around and hands it off. It gets the handoff from JaMychal Green. I like this action as
pretty.
I love the action. I think it's a great action, but I particularly like it as a counter to what the Lakers are presenting, because look at what it does. It actually engages Anthony Davis here as an on-ball defender, as opposed to being the help man who's just like flying all over the place, right? Now, what I think they need to do here is they need to have Steph shoot toward the middle of the court, basically, during this Klay action. And then they need to have Klay, instead of, you know, running off of the screen and, you know, playing as a handoff. The reason he's playing this as a handoff is because the Lakers are kind of trying to top lock as much as possible. So you play that as the counter into the handoff as opposed to trying to play it as a pass. But I think that if you have Steph then shoot out, instead of using the dummy action there, you do run the dummy action, and then you have Steph run out toward the middle of the court. You can run this action toward the wing instead of the corner. You can still have JaMychal hit that screen there on D'Angelo Russell, and you can pass it out instead of hand off it out. It's not really a way to put it. And you can potentially get a shot, but because he curls there, he gets that contest on the Klay Thompson shot. It's great action. I think it's an interesting counter. I would just kind of do the spacing slightly differently, because I really like the idea of engaging Anthony Davis as that kind of defender on the ball and not allowing him to be a help defender,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, that's the key to all of this. A really smart play and an ATO that the Warriors have run a few times. Like they love that split action where they throw the ball into the post, and that's an old triangle offense counter that Steve Kerr is familiar with back from his days with the Chicago Bulls, where they would set that down screen for the opposite short corner and just get a bunch of like 6-foot jumpers at the top of the arc. So the unique counter to wrap Clay around that and come off of a handoff, really interesting type of action. I can't help but watch almost all of these clips, Sam, and see Andrew Wiggins basically standing in the corner the entire time. And I wonder if there's a different way to maybe involve him a little bit more, not necessarily as a creator or a scorer, but as we saw in one of those clips earlier, to try to get LeBron at least a little bit more engaged and have to defend, because I haven't seen him work hard enough on the defensive end of the floor. And that's something that
Yep.
if I'm Steve Kerr, I really want to try to put him in more action.
So I'm glad that you bring that up because that's the next possession. So they bring up Andrew Wiggins in essentially like a double pin down action here. He's there. This is a potential shot for Wiggins, but look at the way Anthony Davis fights through. Look at his length. I mean, just the arm length is insane. Anthony Davis is ridiculous. I can see why he didn't want to take that shot. He fights over the top, just battles, scratches claws over the top, gets LeBron back in the play and recovery. Austin Reeves, beautiful help here as the low man, as you'll see. He's covering, I believe that's JaMychal Green, right? Perfect. Andrew Wiggins rightly reads that, I believe that's Dennis Schroeder, is shooting out to try and like X out onto Draymond Green. It's not really an X out, but it's a help out onto the one pass away man from Schroeder there. No, that's Jared Vanderbilt. Sorry. Jared Vanderbilt's helping out onto Draymond Green. He reads that this is a potential wide open shot for Steph and forces Austin Reeves to close out heavy. Austin Reeves closes out heavy. Steph gets the easy drive to the basket, but by that point, Anthony Davis is there. And this entire possession, again, is just a masterclass from Anthony Davis entirely. Anthony Davis forces just all sorts of random, attempts to get around from Stephen Curry, right? So look, fights through here, forces it as he recovers back into the paint. Look at him sticks with Steph, recovers back onto his man, ends the possession on a rebound. Anthony Davis, stud defensively. There's no other way to put it. That's the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. Now, go ahead.
No, just huge play by Austin Reeves, too. The tag, the runoff of Steph to the line, the recovery on him. I know AD bought him a bunch of time, but Reeves was great there, too.
Yeah, he was absolutely terrific. Now we're at the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. This might even be the next possession. Again, AD, a little bit higher up the court there in the drop, not quite a drop at the level. He's playing basically at the level of the screen there. Perfect recovery out. Look at this. Just absolutely unbelievable movement there from Anthony Davis to recover out. Eventually it gets bounced around to Steph there, but just look at the movement. Look at Anthony Davis sliding everywhere, recovers out there, recovers out there, recovers out there. He's just everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. And another proactive, if you could rewind this clip a little bit, another proactive move by Steve Kerr to try to take advantage of them essentially daring JaMychal Green to do anything on the perimeter. So as soon as they throw it back to him on the pop, we saw him take one of those shots in the first half and the Lakers dare him to do it. Automatic dribble handoffs. It's always a great counter when you're a big man who doesn't want to shoot on the perimeter and you have space, because if you can set contact with the defender that you're handing the ball off to, then it essentially functions like a pick and roll in drop coverage. And that's where Clay got a couple threes in the first half. Like, this is a great conceptual action from Steve Kerr, but Anthony Davis's mobility allows him to be everywhere. And it's amazing how time and time again, the Warriors are pressing solid buttons and the Lakers have an answer for it all.
Yeah, I think that's right. And the other thing worth noting here, remember how in the first half, they were playing heavy drop with Clay, interactions in on-ball actions, right? Anthony Davis is way out at the level this time now.
Yep.
He is aggressively trying to stop Klay Thompson, hand off threes, pull up threes, everything like that, and recovers back out onto the JaMychal shot. And look, ball comes out to Steph. Yeah. That's going to happen sometimes, but unbelievable defensive possession there. I thought, from Anthony Davis. Here we go again. Kevon Looney back on the court. Heavy, way far back. Steph comes out, realizes it's Steph interaction, comes out higher than what he normally does on Kevon Looney interactions, playing closer to the level there. And again, Anthony Davis just staying in front again. And there it is at the 7 minute or 6.5 minute mark. Eventually he gets dunked on, but that's because he's flying around literally everywhere on this possession.
Yeah.
Like, Anthony Davis contains Steph like 4 separate times as a driver, swats his shot, ball rotates out, and he's out of position trying to fly back into the play. Yeah, I guess Wiggins dunked on him, but like it comes from literally being every single place, everywhere, all at once from Anthony Davis defensively. Just an unbelievable Anthony Davis game defensively.
He was so good.
Yeah. So here, this is Kevon Looney coming up. Again, Anthony Davis, right at the level there, right at the level of the 3-point line, throws the ball back to Looney. And again, just very, very deep. Anthony Davis is very, very deep here. Klay Thompson comes off of this, ends up throwing it away because Anthony Davis is just there, ready to contain. And this is just phenomenal stuff from Anthony Davis. This entire game defensively completely blew up everything the Warriors wanted to do. And particularly one thing we should maybe talk about here is Draymond Green is not on the court for a lot of this in the second half.
Yeah.
Foul trouble,
Yep.
right? Has 5 fouls. This probably looks a little bit different in the second half in terms of adjustments for the Warriors. If Draymond Green is able to play more than, I think he played like 23 minutes in this game,
Yeah.
right? Something along, 23 minutes. Yeah. It's a little bit different if Draymond Green is out there in terms of what they're doing. I would imagine they would have Dre out there for Looney, which then becomes a lot more interesting in terms of the counters. All due respect to Looney, who had a great Sacramento series. This is not quite the series for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, perfect work, just perfect work containing there from Anthony Davis. Here we go again, Stephen Curry. One thing that we are going to see here, and that I think we might see a little bit more of in this series, I would not be surprised to see the Warriors set more small on small screening actions. That's a second counter. I like the split action counter a little bit more to engage Davis as the primary post defender. And then I like small on small screening actions for them to try and get Stephen Curry loose. He drills this one, obviously, just over the top of Russell. But basically anything where you don't have to involve Anthony Davis either as a help defender or as like the primary screen defender when it's not Draymond Green is the screener, right? You're going to play minutes without Draymond Green in this series. That's the reality of the situation. I love the idea of going small on small screening action to keep Anthony Davis out of the play. That is at the 4:20 mark of the third quarter. This one is the 1:20 mark of the third quarter. This is going to be Dante DiVincenzo coming up. And again, higher up on Klay, recovers. And it's just perfect. Feeds Klay into the help with Rui. Rui's there. Perfect contest, rebound. Everything was great here. And look, I think, again, as we talked about, the Warriors, I'm not going to show anything from the fourth. The fourth ended up being just like a total blowout, and it's not really worth it. But we talked about some counters that we think the Warriors can run. Smaller on small, screening actions when Draymond is off the court. Going with a 4-guard alignment around Draymond, I think, is a key. But the bigger key is they need something from Jordan Poole if they're going to play that guard alignment, right? You need something from Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole's not really giving it right now. Again, last night, Jordan Poole goes 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, has 6 assists, but turns it over 4 times. They need something from Jordan Poole. Otherwise, your options are Moses Moody or Dante DiVincenzo. I'm kind of expecting one of those two to start the next game, if I'm being honest.
I would start Moody because I think DiVincenzo allows you to have another ball handler who's fresh to make good decisions and can, be guarded outside the 3-point line when one of Steph or Clay need to sit a little bit more. And I know that's what Jordan Poole does, and his role on this team is to also handle and create his own shot. But DiVincenzo is a much more sound decision maker. So I would go with Moses Moody if I were to try to make that type of adjustment. I agree. Like, Looney isn't the guy that I would have out there. And it's more so just for the fact that we've seen the Lakers kind of dominate Looney Draymond minutes when they're together because of this new lineup tandem they were able to put out there. I think there are ways that Steve Kerr did and will continue to try to dial up counters for that. We saw the pop to the dribble handoff from JaMychal Green. Kevon Looney can do some of that stuff. We saw throwing the ball into whoever Anthony Davis is guarding and playing out of the post split action that they have. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw the ball to Draymond or to Looney at the top of the key and run some corner slip split actions over there with Steph and Clay together, just trying to see if you can force a miscommunication that gets an open shot. So there are still smaller things that they can do, but on the whole, I do think Moses Moody and more of him is going to be a net positive for the Warriors. It's time to go small.
My worry with Moody is I do think they would guard Moody with Anthony Davis, and I think they'd be less likely to guard Dante with Anthony Davis. For whatever, that's just my feeling on it. Like, I think that they would probably try to avoid AD on the guy who's like the ball handler, as you're saying with Dante. I think that they would be more likely to have AD guard Draymond Green, which is ultimately the goal of what you're trying to do if you're the Warriors in those settings.
Yeah. Can I give you another counterpoint here?
Yeah.
I would actually put AD on Wiggins.
So that is an option for sure, but then you're involving LeBron in more actions.
Yep.
And I think, that's probably something the Warriors are comfortable with, right?
Sure, but I think at the end of the day, if you are going to switch those actions anyway and you have AD to be that generational rim protector on the backside, that's fine. I also think that you can play a little bit more show and recover with LeBron in those situations and know that AD is back there if Draymond tries to slip or play out of that short roll. And the biggest reason for that, whenever the Warriors have that situation and set up, Wiggins is always in the opposite corner because his role in the offense is to automatically back cut along the baseline to the rim. Mm-hmm. So he's going to end up meeting AD there anyway.
So for what it's worth, I do think that is the counter that you do then. I think that you're in this circumstance. I think you're right on that. My question to you, to throw it back to you then, would be, do you switch the on balls with LeBron and put LeBron on Steph regularly? Do you put LeBron? Here's the question. Do you put LeBron on Dre and then Vanderbilt back on Steph and then Reeves on Clay and Russell on who would that be?
No, I'd put LeBron on Moody or DiVincenzo, whichever one of those is out there on the floor. I'd continue with the Reeves Vanderbilt matchup on.
Yep.
And then I'd continue to face guard Clay with D'Angelo Russell, put AD on Wiggins, and have him be more of the helper at the rim, because if Draymond catches the ball and drives the basket at all, we know that AD is going to be there to help, and his man is going to either automatically cut to the rim, or you're giving up an uncontested three to Wiggins in the corner, and that's probably better than anything you'd give up to Steph anyway.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's probably the counter. I think that's probably the right counter in that circumstance, but if Wiggins makes open threes, then you're fucked. And I think that's, a real possibility.
But you got to live with it.
But then your counter is to put AD on Moody DiVincenzo and make those guys shoot. There are a number of different ways you're going to be able to do this, but this is where the series, I think, gets really, really fun.
Yeah.
Is now the Warriors countered back to the Lakers in game 2. The Lakers have countered back to the Warriors in game 3. Now we see what happens in game 4. This is going to be fascinating. I do think the Warriors come out and play small, though. That's my prediction at this point. I think the Warriors come out, they play small, and make AD guard in more ball screens, would be my read.
Yeah. Really impressed by Anthony Davis. Really super impressed by Darvin Ham and what he's doing as a first-year head coach here in the playoffs. Excellent stuff from him. And I think Steve Kerr is still an underrated tactical coach. He does a really nice job of thinking one step ahead and dialing up counters that all flow with however they're guarded or getting his best guys shots. It's going to be a really fun series with punch, counter, punch the rest of the way.